Now onto a very different film that really gets under your skin, or at least under mine. Bug, from Exorcist director William Friedkin. This really is quite a small film, but one which I really got into. I think a number of films led this to not get the success it deserves. One of which is that it looked like it was marketed as some kind of a creature feature pure horror film. But it really is more psychological than anything else. It's a small budget film with essentially one location, not the most famous stars, and it doesn't take the safe route of the formulaic big studio films. I think that would be the biggest reason that it doesn't force itself into that particular mould. So no big special effects and limited locations. What's so good about it? Well, the performances are excellent, the direction makes the film extremely tense and claustrophobic, and the story is interesting and makes you think about how irrational some of your own fears are. The film follows Agnes, played by Ashley Judd, who is haunted from a tragic event in her past. She rents a cheap, derelict motel alone and is in constant fear that her recently paroled, abusive ex-husband, Jerry Goss, is going to show up and start some trouble. Goss is played by Harry Connick Jr., and when he does show up, these scenes are quite intense. This guy is a real scumbag. He hits her, steals her money, but what is strange about this relationship is how he still hopes to get back together with her. There are some little hints like him pointing out the good old times and the fact that he keeps coming back to her. Agnes's friend R.C. brings her a really odd, reclusive drifter called Peter to help her loneliness. Peter is played by Michael Shannon, and the story is really about him. The two of them start talking very nervous and awkwardly. It becomes apparent that the two of them are both troubled and they soon begin a romance. Peter starts to hear helicopters outside, and this is really troubling to him for some reason. He then starts to believe that there is an infestation of bugs, which is so small that not even Agnes can see them. It then gets worse and worse as he delves into paranoid madness, as he spouts out about how he was experimented on and how it's all a big conspiracy. He really goes insane and starts to take extreme precautions to protect himself from the outside world, a number of which are really shocking. And the thing is, Agnes, in the desperate need of connection to someone, starts to believe his desperate delusions. This film is really about the progression into madness. It is also about irrational fear and how perfectly rational thinking people can be dragged down to believe this too. If you take the first 5 minutes of their time together and the last 5 minutes, it really doesn't look like it's the same film or these same people. So that is the gist of the film without going too much into specifics. There are a number of things which I love about this film. Michael Shannon's performance has a really strong presence and he really brings it to the peak of extreme. A real 0 to 60 type performance. The conspiracy theories are really thought out. That's the thing about them, they're really grained in truth, so no matter how over the top they are, people will still believe them. There is actually some ambiguity in this film, as you do not actually see the bugs. You could be making it all up, or it could be true, depending on your interpretation. While I was getting wrapped up in the story, I was starting to believe it within the logic of the film. But in hindsight, I think that it's just the delusions of a madman. This really is a type of story that is best suited to one location, and I believe it was actually based on a play, which doesn't surprise me at all. Lastly, I want to talk about the title, which I find is really clever. So it's called Bug, because it has bugs in it, or it might not, okay? But it may also refer to the surveillance, as Peter feels like he's being constantly watched, and he thinks that the government may be treating him like a human guinea pig. And it could also be his invasion into Agnes's life and really getting into her thoughts and bugging her. So not really a film for everyone, but one which I really like. I think that it's very unique and very interesting. If anything I said appeals to you, then you should definitely give this one a watch. Thanks for listening.
Why don't you fucking wake up?
Where is this exit? What are you doing? Oh my God, Peter! Oh my God! Stop it!
You sacked my tooth.
God, it's not possible.
I had this tooth filled at the base. The sadistic sons of bitches put an insect egg sac under the filling.
Maybe we got us a little bug problem here.
They're eating me!
I know.